And hey, how's everybody doing? Happy Monday. Welcome back to another show on the Grade A Fantasy Channel. Getting ready to get a head start on everybody. Everybody's talking about the big sing game tonight. I'm getting y'all a head start on the quarterback position for the week 6 slate. Now, looking over this whole slate as soon as it came out last night, let me tell you something. No value at all. As of right now, of course, because there could be some stuff that pops up. But as of right now, there isn't an inch of value. Nothing. Everybody's priced up. Everybody's pretty much where they need to be. The only value technically is if you choose to pay down. But no like exclusive Jordan Mason plays. Definitely not last week when you had two running backs that you could have picked that were both in the 4,000s. There is none of that this week. As you can see, I have it highlighted here. Like I said, for all you FanDuelers out there, this is the best contest to get into. The 20 max, paying 50% of the field. They just keep bouncing back and forth, whether if it's 78,000 to 67,000. I'm telling you, like last year when they did it with the $3 contest, if I know FanDuel, this is something that's gonna keep going until week 8. So get into this contest as much as you can. Half the field gets paid out. Now, let's jump right into the quarterback show. We'll just tap on this one right here. And I'll enter a new lineup and get into the quarterback position. And here we go. So, and before I continue that, it was another fine day. As I said in last week's show, I figured this was a 215 to 230 show. I think a 238 took the 235, 238 took the 20 max. I got into the 198, so sniffing 200, definitely one of my personal best in a while. Other than that, I did get to a decent amount of, like I said, out of all those value running backs, because he has proven himself. I didn't see 200-something yards, but I did say Rico Dowdle. I got to Rico Dowdle like 5 or 6 times. I got to Michael Carter 5 times. People like JSN. I did look at my exposures, and out of the 20 lineups, I did get to Amon-Ra St. Brown 4 times, so I'm glad I didn't overdo it with him because he didn't need him. I did say it was somewhat viable to use both Detroit running backs. That did work out. And picking the defenses that I stuck with, yes. Most of my defenses, like I said, I sprinkled a little bit of Arizona. And like I said, I don't like paying off a defense unless it's worth it. Right now, the biggest turnover machine besides Browning is Geno Smith, because at least Brown is trying to get the ball deep and he's just getting pressured. Geno sometimes has a good pocket and he's just throwing bad passes. So when it comes to those two quarterbacks, I will take Browning over Geno Smith right now. Geno Smith is a pure turnover machine. But enough of that review. Let's get into the quarterback slate. So, Lamar Jackson, questionable. With a hamstring, no. I don't see soft tissue injuries healing in 2 weeks. Like I said, I think Lamar's out for the month, or at least a month in duration. So I don't think we see Lamar until we get closer to Halloween. That's just my opinion. I will not be reviewing him. Justin Herbert in a bounce back spot against a bad defense in Miami. Great weather. They're basically playing on the East Coast version of where they're at in San Diego. Miami with a bad defense, I think, once again, it didn't look great. It was fine, but they only put up 10 points. I will definitely go back to Justin Herbert's McConkey stacks and double stacks with different variations of I did it last week too. I did have a few of those lineups. McConkey, Quentin Johnson, with Herbert, McConkey, Allen, Quentin Johnson, Allen, stuff like that. So I definitely think you could take a few chances of getting different versions of that. Jordan Love, one of my favorite plays this week. And why? Because since everything is so priced up, Jordan Love is 83, but the stack with his guys and his tight ends is very inexpensive. So Jordan Love is definitely one of the people that I love this week. No pun intended. Baker Mayfield, he's just a stud. You gotta like Baker Mayfield. Has another tough matchup, but he had a tough matchup in Seattle. Now he has an even tougher matchup, but it's at home against San Francisco. You gotta like Baker. Another one of my favorite plays, Dak against Carolina. I mean, putting up his numbers. Hey, Dallas may not be a playoff team as, things thicken out. Like I said, we got through the first quarter of the season. But Dak, I mean, right now, let's be real. When it comes to if there's right now at this point in the season, if there's two things about off-season awards, right now it's either Dak Prescott or Baker Mayfield's MVP, and Mbuka is the rookie of the year. That is point blank period. Point blank period right now. Going into week 6, that right now that's the way it is. Disbarring injury, as we keep going down, another one of my favorite plays, his stack. I think it's very viable to get some possible and also cheap stacks that can also boom so that can help you fit some of these. Like I said, everybody's like well priced and priced where they need to be. They're either priced up, maybe slightly overpriced, but majority of these people are right where they're at. Drake May at 78. You're no longer getting Drake May in the low sevens no more. That discount is over with. Just like how I told you how to get on the Daniel Jones train before it got too expensive. Drake May, another one of my top favorites. Like I said, Love and May on my cover sheet. I think they're very cheap to stack, which can help you if you decide to pay down in one certain area. After getting into that low stack, both May and Love are viable to having single stacks and double stacks. Love, Drake May, Matthew Stafford against a bad Baltimore offense. Even if Baltimore gets somewhat healthy and gets some of those guys back, the defense is still bad. Matthew Stafford is still viable. Daniel Jones is viable any week. He hasn't had any bust out weeks, but if you stack him right, if he gets it to Pittman like he has been the last couple of weeks, and then of course maybe get some screen passes to Jonathan Taylor, Daniel Jones is always a good fit. He's always right price, not overpriced. Mac Jones or Brock Purdy has a good matchup. Whoever starts, I will be stacking them. It's just a case of who's healthy. Is Pearsall coming? They got the extra long week off, so is Pearsall coming back? Is Juwan Jennings finally healthy? But I like either quarterback for San Francisco against Tampa Bay. I think that's another Tampa Bay game that it might go sneaky under-owned, possibly, even though it has some popular pieces. But game stacking wise, I think that game could go off. Sam Darnold. I had one Sam Darnold lineup. I wish I probably got more to him. 4 TDs. He's going against Jacksonville next week. Like I said, solid front 7. But Sam Darnold and his combo of JSN, Barner and company can attack them mid to deep level. So I like Darnold this week. I will continue to go down. It's a tougher defensive matchup, but Tua is still an option, still a cheap stack. Tua right around the 7,000 range. And when it comes to pay-ups, you're going to have to take a look at these guys. It's going to sound weird, but even though he's a turnover machine, he has the opportunity to do it. I like Bryce Young this week, right at 7K, against a porous Dallas defense. Jets stink, but guess what? Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson stacks didn't kill your lineup. They didn't boom, but for fantasy purposes, they still worked. It's still a Dallas defense that you can still take advantage of Bryce Young and his wide receiver core, Hunter Renfrow, whichever tight end is healthy this week, whether it's Tremble or Javion Sanders, T-Mac, McMillan, Xavier Legette got his first TD of the season last week. So, and then of course, because it's a bad defense, it's ugly, but I'm willing to at least do it twice in the 20 max. Geno Smith, because Geno does check it down to Ashton Jensen, he can home run against a bad Tennessee defense coming off their first week. Like I said, if he's comparable for 68, you're viable to get something like what he did at least in week 1, week 3, or maybe at least 4 to 5 points better in week 4 against Chicago. Obviously, week 3 and week 1 are boom weeks when he got over 20. So for his price, 68, if he could get to 17, 18, yeah, he's looking at closing on times 3 his value. Genty should be able to produce. We don't know about Bowers. I think they just need to sit Bowers so he could be healthy. So Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker and company are viable as well. And then when it comes to the paydowns, Jake Browning, I mean, you could take that risk. But I actually kind of like Spencer Rattler this week, because New England is the type of defense that can stuff the run, but you can, with the up-tempo pace, get them with the pass. So I think this is another week of Spencer Rattler not getting to possibly 300 yards, but possibly, as you can see here, it's a fast-paced offense. He's still throwing 39, 34 times. This is another one where it could be a very cheap stack of 66,000 with Shaheed or Olave, one of those kind of things, whatever. It's just the high pace of the New Orleans Saints against a very weak by the pass, but they're very good against the run. And then it's interesting too. I actually like Dylan Gabriel this week. If you want to go down that far, it's an option. Dylan Gabriel did a solid job. Didn't turn over the ball. Kept them in the game. No turnovers. But it's a basic dink and dunk kind of game. So if you're using Dylan Gabriel, one of the most weirdest, because of based on what happened last week, and it's a good tight end matchup. One of the weirdest stacks you can do. One of the weirdest stacks you can do. Dylan Gabriel with both tight ends, because the way he dinks and dunks and they rotate Njoku, the way they rotate Njoku and Fanning Jr., they were both viable fantasy-wise. It's a weird stack, but you can get away with it. It's just because of his play style. And just over 30 pass attempts. Judkins, the running back, the young running back, he's just a stud. He, with no help, he's impressed 2 weeks back in a row. So possibly no, Pittsburgh hasn't shown that they're back yet. Yes, they have J.J. Watt, a couple of pass rushes. But if you're dinking and dunking, that means the ball is getting out of the hand. And then, Quinshawn Judkins has played very well so far this season. So Dylan Gabriel is an option. It's not something where I'm like, oh, you got to look. Because if you're looking for some sensible value at the quarterback position, he's a dink and dunk guy. 6,400 with a 5 and change tight end. Because neither one of those they played well, but neither one of those tight ends have boomed. I'm going to say that right now without looking at anything. I think I did my notes on that, and yeah. Njoku's 5'7". Yeah, they're both in the 5K range. Njoku 5'7", and if I'm not mistaken, looking at my notes, Fan is about 5'3". So it's a cheap double stack, weird double stack. Definitely a way to get different. But when I said he checked down everything, let's take a look. I mean, I'm in no rush to end this video, so we'll just back out, scroll to tight end, and we don't have to scroll that far to. So there goes Njoku. Njoku last week with Dylan Gabriel, 9 targets, 6 for 67. He got the touchdown. Then when we scroll down a little bit more, yeah, like I said, he's 53. Harold Fanning last week, 4 targets, 13 and a touchdown. He was literally out of his 33 attempts, about 14 of his attempts went to the tight end position. So right there, right then and there, you can obviously see, and the 2 touchdowns went to the tight end. So until he gets better with his passing ability, and if they don't see really anything until he really messes up, Shador Sanders gets in the game, whoever's running the underneath routes for the wide receiver. But other than that, he's a man with the tight end, and it's Quinshawn Judkins. As long as he's that quarterback, it's a very concentrated, without a doubt, it's a very concentrated Cleveland offense. Not the best offense, but fantasy-wise, you know where the ball is going. So let's review pay-ups, mid-options, and pay-downs. When it comes to pay-ups, my faves are Jordan Love, Prescott, and Maye. As we go to, yes, and then like I said, we can add another one there because, like I said, Matthew Stafford is going against Baltimore at 77, even though he's not expensive as some of these other guys. As we get to the mid-range, I like any 49, which either one of these 49 quarterbacks starts against Tampa Bay. Like I said, you could attack them through the air. Sam Darnold's alike, but it's really either 49er quarterback or Bryce Young. Matter of fact, it's either 49er quarterback or Tua. And then when it comes to the budget and the paydowns, is Bryce Young, Geno, and like I said, both Spencer Rattler and Dylan Gabriel are options. Once again, thank you for tuning in. This is your boy, Grade A Fantasy. Running back, wide receiver videos coming soon. This is a very interesting week, y'all. Definitely got to do your research, and it's a lot of hard decisions to make with the pricing and how everything is pretty much set the way it is. So good luck this week, week 6. And if you're playing tonight's single game, good luck in that as well. This is Grade A Fantasy, signing off.